Okay, I'm very excited tonight, because I'm going to myself now. I feel that I'm going to my favorite seasons that are Thanksgiving and also Christmas. Although I have to say, Halloween is also one of my favorites. It's October, November, and December. But the reason I'm coming to with this webinar, and I did something similar last year or a couple of years ago, is to go and close really strong. And because whatever we do in the next 6 or 7 weeks, it's going to be not only giving us results because we are going to sponsor some people, but also in January, we are going to have so many seats that we can have the best year ever. In January, the goal is to have an amazing January, an amazing February, and amazing every month of next year. We have so many great tools now, and the tools keep improving in order to build the business really successful. And we are going into that. Now, there are about 7 weeks, I would say, 7 weeks that we have right now to build the business. Now, the holidays are a great time to prospect and build, not only for next year, but to finish it strong this 2014. As a matter of fact, November could be a really good month for many, and even the first week and 2 weeks on December. Years ago, when I was in the company before the Isagenix, there was a guy that was really successful. He was a top sponsor people and one of the top distributors in volume. But the interesting thing is that he sponsored a lot of people, more than anybody else, in the month of July, August, and December. And I remember I was talking to him because I could see, I see this guy sponsoring so many people, and he said, you know what, I put more effort when most people think that's slow. And that's the way that I built the business. Plus, he loved to sponsor very strong in July and August because he said he was building for the month of September, October, and November. And then in December, he was building for January. And he always had amazing income January, big jumps in income after these months. And it's why I love the prospecting. Now you say, well, who's going to prospect in December? I tell you one thing. In November, of course, we have a lot. We are going to be talking more about that the closer we get to December. But when you talk to somebody, you ask the right questions, and if they're looking for something, doesn't matter if it's December, doesn't matter if it's the middle of July in summer or the middle of the winter time in Alaska, people are going to be looking for something. But anyway, let's start it here. But first, I have the disclaimer, and you probably have seen the disclaimer. And the reason I have it is because we're going to talk about money and potential, and we don't want to make you believe that this is going to come from the sky and you're going to make millions of dollars without doing absolutely anything. This is network marketing. You don't work, you don't eat. Anyway, let's be prepared. Make sure you are in ownership. And the reason is, and I'm sure all of you are in ownership, but the reason I'm saying this is because, as you know, many of the bonuses, the only way that you can get them is if you are in ownership. Also, get some tools like the Prosper magazine and the launch party kit. As a matter of fact, next week is going to be the launch party week. This week, with what you're going to see today, you can get ready for a tremendous next week. No, even if you have these tools yet, start with your website, videos, and iSaMovie, and also isagenixbusiness.com. You actually can download the instructions and the forms that are in the launch party kit, although it's better to have the kit itself. It's much more powerful. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is to make your list, and I know you heard that over and over again. You go to howtogetgoing.com or isagenixbusiness.com, and you can find links to the different lists that we have. Do not prejudge anybody. Now, in the next few weeks, you're going to hear more and more about prospecting, different ways to get new people. But meanwhile, make sure you make the list again. And if you made a list before, make sure you go again through the list. Now, include even people who you contacted before. Write the name of 20 people to contact this week. Now, I say in one part of the presentation that at least 10, but reality, do 20, you are going to have way better results in the future. Now, make sure that you familiarize with these packages, the business pack, there's the 1099, the membership is included, the president packs, and we have, as you know, 3, and also with 30-day systems. The reason is because these are the systems that you are going to be offering, and it's so important that you are familiar with these systems. You just go to to ISA products, and then you click on systems, and you can see more what is in there. Now, set your action plan, and this is going to be the heart of the whole thing. And by the way, this webinar is going to be short because I want to make sure I don't cover too much information. Now, but first, you are going to set up your goal. How many people are you going to connect every day? How many days are you going to promote the business? How many people you are going to get to a tool? How many one-on-one or home launches you are going to do? Now, let me go back here, stop here. It depends on you. I didn't set a specific number because you are going to set up your own goal, because if I tell you a number and you feel it's too high, you're not going to do it. Set up your own goal. My recommendation, as I said, let's go for at least 20 people in this week and 4 or 5 times a week. In other words, 4 or 5 days a week. That depends on you. How many people are you going to send to a tool, etc. Depend on you again. And to have at least one launch party. And if you don't have any plan for this week, make sure you plan 1 or 2 for next week. And if you have team members that live close by you, make sure even more than that, because next week again is home launch launch party week. And as you know, and for those of you that don't know, the sign up is free. We want to take advantage of that. Now, this is the action, and this is for next week, by the way. Connect with at least 10 people. I say 10, but 20 would be the best. Use one or combine a few ways to connect. Now, we talked last week, and the last 2 weeks, actually, we talked about text. Texts are really powerful. We've been testing it, and I'm really, really surprised how powerful it is. And we are going to revisit a little about text, not as in depth as we talked last week. But if you want to know more, you can check the last week webinar on how to get going on texting. But today, I'm going to tell you, we are going to revisit part, but this is so powerful. Now, post on Facebook too, and we are going to give you some ideas that you can post on Facebook. It is interesting, by the way, that when you post on Facebook, you can use it also in text messages and call some people. Now, you can text on post on Facebook in a private message to your friends. Now, I have this note below. Text has a better response, and the reason is because, as you know, as we talked last week, you have your phone most of the time with you, and you respond to a text much faster. Although many people, if you have messengers, you can also respond really quick through Facebook. But most people have messages, don't have messenger yet, but in the future they will, I'm sure. But let me show you what you would post, and some of these are familiar because we talked about this last week. Hey, I have to talk to you. When would be a good time to sit down or have a cup of coffee or talk on the phone, if long distance? By the way, you don't have to write this down because this is going to be recorded, and you can go through all this. Now, again, for those of you that are just getting in, I see a few people already came in the last few minutes. I'm not repeating last week, texting. We are just talking about some of the things that you are going to do this week in order to exploit your business, not only this week, but in the next 7 weeks. Now, this is another example, and this is courtesy of Zach and Eden. As you know, they have an amazing training on Facebook, and if you have not seen it, I recommend you go to isagenixbusiness.com and check their training on them. Also on Facebook, on YouTube, do a search for Zach and Eden on Facebook, and you're going to see his training. Their training is amazing. Well, they also are heavily using texting. As a matter of fact, they came with a cool training on testing that's similar to one that we are coming up with, that you are going to hear probably in the next week or more. Or later about their training, and also our training that we are doing on texting, because we've been using it and it's amazing. Now, he said, I know it has been forever, but your name keep popping into my mind. Chat this week. This is really cool because many people say, well, I have not talked to this person in so many years. What do I say? This is a great way to actually to connect with somebody. And this has 2 of the positions. Here is another one, and this again can be done on text, call, or Facebook. Now, this that I'm going to show you now, you can even make a call with them. This, by the way, comes from the books of Eric Worre, and I've been using it. And several people, leaders in Isagenix, millionaires in Isagenix, have been using it, like Susan Sly and Zach and Eden and many people, because they are really powerful. If you have not read the book or seen my webinars where I went through his whole book, make sure you go to howtogetgoing.com. You can find the Eric Worre events, webinars there that I did on the book, his book. But anyway, I always admire you because you desire to always to do the best for you and your family. I found a way where you and I can earn a fortune. This is one of them. By the way, you can put it on a text or on Facebook or even calling somebody. You have an amazing mind for business and can see things other people don't see. When I thought of people who could make an absolute fortune with a business that I found, I thought of you. Or, by the way, any of these three. For as long as I have known you, I thought you were the best at what you do. I think I found a way for us to really boost our cash flow. And there are more, again, in the book, Eric Worre, there are more, but this one I just show you, using any of this one in this page and slide or the one before, oh, your business can explode. And you are using texting, calling, or Facebook. These are ideal also for calling. Now, texting is more powerful because many times people don't answer right away because they may be busy, and they forgot that you called them. Even if you leave a message, you leave that message, doesn't sound good. You have to actually talk to the person, but in text, it sounds really good. Now, what happened next? What do you do next? And I'm leaving this here, by the way, for a second. Don't write it down. If you know how to take a picture of your screen, it depends on the computer that you have, take a picture of the screen. But meanwhile, remember, this is going to be recorded. But these are great ways to prosper. Let me go back to the first one. Okay, oops. Okay. I have to talk to you. When would be a good time to sit down or have a cup of coffee? Or I know it has been forever, your name keep popping into my mind. Chat this week. Or, and I'm leaving it a second in case you didn't take a picture before or this, and when I take a picture with a computer, you don't know how to do it, well, remember it's going to be recorded. And this is the next one. Now, these are really powerful. We've been using it, and when I say we, there are several people that we are using this, and it's really powerful. Now, sending them to a tool. After you send the text message, or after you connect with Facebook, you try to get the people to the phone. Now, if you're on the phone with a person, you skip the first line. You go to the second one. But anyway, send them to a tool, and you say, it's okay if I call you now. If it is not possible, you can continue doing this texting or this script on text or Facebook. But make sure that when you are on the phone, it's more powerful. I'm in a hurry. Let me be quick. And this is so important. If you, again, have seen the training by Eric Worre, he talks about the importance. Because if you don't say this, the person is going to try to keep you on the phone. And then what happened is that you are going to talk too much. Because it happened to me, happened to almost everybody. If I send you a link to a video or webinar, will you watch it? Now, here the secrets are the words if and would. When you say, if I do this for you, will you do this for me? It's really powerful. And I use it in many, many ways all the time, even when I'm in regular conversation. That's a secret weapon that when you use these two words. What is your best email address? Remember, you are sending a link to a tool. When do you think would you watch it? So if I call you at, you will have seen the video for sure, right? Is that the best time to call you back? Thank you very much. I really appreciate your opinion. I will call you at whatever time. Now, some people, I talk to them, and when they heard for the first time Eric Worre talking about this was last year, they say, oh, it sounds like you're too forceful. No, you're not. You are making sure that the person is going to watch the video and they understand. You're not going to sound pushy. I know many people say, oh, I'm going to sound pushy. Let me tell you, most people are not thinking what you think they're thinking about you. As a matter of fact, most of the time, they are not even thinking about you. We're kind of have a big ego sometimes, thinking that all of is about ourselves. But anyway, this is an example of follow-up when you are using a tool. And again, you take a picture, if you know how to take it from your computer, and again, we are going to have this recorded. Next one, inviting them to a one-on-one or two-on-one could be also with your one of your leaders if they live in the same area. Again, this is the person that you remember you are texting or Facebook. You try to get them on the phone. If it's not possible, you continue here. In a hurry, let me be quick. This is the same. If I invite you to a cup of coffee or lunch or dinner or whatever you want to, will you meet with me? When do you think would be a good time? So if I set our meeting at whatever time, can I count on you? You see, you are committing the person because when you the more you commit to the person, the higher are going to be your chances for you to have that person at that meeting or looking at the website or watching one of the webinars, etc. Is that the best time? For sure. Cool. Is it okay if I send you a text to remind you? That's it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I will see you on whatever. You see, it's really simple. And although I know some people say, I don't like scripts, but because they are so short, you can apply it to your personality. By the way, if your personality are that you love to talk and give more details, make sure you short those details, because I have been there. I'm one of those that I remember just inviting somebody to something when I started network marketing. Sometimes it took me 30, 45 minutes, an hour before I got to the point. But I learned my lesson. Invite them to a launch presentation. And this, again, next week, as you know, we have the launch week. This is okay if I call you, again, for those of you that I noticed a couple of more people that just came in, after you are posting all these messages on Facebook, and for those of you that just come in, don't worry, this is going to be recorded. It's okay if I call you now. Perfect. I'm in a hurry. This is after you are on the phone or even on a text message. I have a couple of friends who are coming to my home on July, whatever, not July, on the week of next week or whatever, to discuss this. And I would love to invite you and your spouse, if married. This is really important. Make sure you involve the spouse, because you don't want to the person go there and say something like, I would love to talk to my husband or my wife. If I invite you to my home, would you come with your spouse? You see, if, would, again. In other words, if I make plans for you to be there, would I count on you? Or with you? I don't remember this. My English here is going. Is it okay if I send you a text to remind you on, and then you have on Monday, whatever day it is? Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I will see you on July 10 or on Friday or whatever. But you see, all these are really similar, really similar script. That's the cool thing, that you don't have to learn a very complicated script for each one. Very simple. And now, remember, what you're doing here is getting people to a presentation, to a video, to a webinar. That's what you're doing. And the reason I love to do the texting and Facebook is because you can go very quick, even faster than when you make a phone call. Because again, most people don't answer right away if they are busy or they are through the day doing something else. Now, very important, involve your associates. Text or call them to explain this plan. I text. What I do, as a matter of fact, I activate a couple of people in my organization by sending a text to them and say, I have to talk to you. And this is really powerful. And share this information with your team members. And remember, this is going to be recorded. Ask them to share this with their team. Lead by example. In other words, you do it too. You do it. And even if you have to do sometimes, and that happened to me a few times, that we do a three-way call with my downline, but it's my prospect. But it's a way, sometimes a great way to teach somebody about how we do the calls on the phone. Now, next week, as I said at the beginning, is launch party week. This is a great way to start next week, what we are doing today. The more people you and your team connect with, the more success you will have with this presentation next week. Now, make sure you go to isagenixbusiness.com and download the info. The info on how to do a successful party. I don't know, I put join. The info on how to do a successful party, or better, get from Isa Sales Tools, the launch party kit. It's really nice looking. It's something that's going to help you a lot. Now, can you imagine what would happen if you followed these ideas? And this is not the right spelling, but it's there. What would happen if people on your team do the same thing? Can you see yourself succeeding? And this is very important. See yourself succeeding. Now, even if you don't accomplish all your goals before Christmas, can you see the momentum that you will be creating? This is so powerful, yet it only will become a reality by doing it. This is very simple. I know when you are not used to do this, it can be overwhelming, because it has happened to me. I remember when I started in the business. I mean, I have a hard time sometimes doing something because I feel overwhelmed, even if it was really simple. But I promise you, the more you do it, the easier it will be. And I remember calling call leads. That was the toughest thing when I was in one of my first company. I think it was in my second company, and that was really tough because some people insult you, etc. It's really tough call leads. But the more I did it, it got to the point that I became vaccinated against the nasty people. I'm glad I learned other ways to prospect that didn't involve calling leads because it's not very fun. Your result will be awesome if you are consistent and persistent. If you do not give up. Don't give up. That's the reason Jimmy Smith said the only way to fail in this business is when you give up. Now, next week webinar will go more into how to increase your list size. Now, of course, I had to correct some of the grammar here. It's interesting because I just saw it, even I reviewed this at least 5 times. But anyway, if you have any questions, you can write it on that box where it reads questions. I cannot read the questions. Alex will be reading them to me or texting it to me. I know in the past also some people text my cell phone. But anyway, Alex, are you there?
Yes, George.
Okay.
And actually, we do have a question here. And it's a question, it says here, I only have time to maybe call 1 or 2 people a day. Would that be enough?
Okay. I think the best question is how much time do you have to call a day? Because if you do about, let me show you, for example, when you use the texting, you actually can talk to about 4 to 5 people in less than an hour. And the reason is because your purpose is to send people to a tool. Now, the script that I just show you, when you put it together, it's only about 2 to 3 minutes. Now, something that you could do is something that Alex was doing at one point when he was prospecting. He was doing it 8 hours, but it was not 8 hours a week. What was your secret, Alex, when you were talking to 8 or 10 people a day? Because
Yeah.
this is really important because I think it's going to help you a lot.
And actually, what I did is I didn't have any time whatsoever, but at the top of the hour, each hour, I would simply take 5 minutes and either call or email. At that time, we didn't even think about doing text messaging. And now that I think about it, it would have been so much more effective. But every time it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, just take 5 minutes, take a break from what you're doing and start texting a couple of people, and you will see that you'll cover so much ground. And nowadays, what I'm doing right now is when I text people, most people nowadays have smartphones anyhow.
Right.
And I send them the link right in the text once they tell me, yeah, I'd be interested in. Remember, what we're doing is we're taking 3 daily actions, 3 steps. We want to connect, present, and follow up.
That's
We
right.
connect via text, then we present using one of the tools. And what better way of simply taking a link to one of your videos on your replicated site or Isagenix YouTube videos and sending that link via text as the second step. And then follow up. The follow up usually is much better if you do with a call and
Mhm.
even with your upline, a
Yeah.
3-way call and so on. But I have been able to get so much done nowadays in just 5 minutes every hour. And, I do want to point something out, to the person to John, that actually asked whether 1 or 2 people a day is enough. Remember one thing: consistency and persistency is the most important thing. Over the 10 plus years that I've been with Isagenix, I wish that every single day I would have contacted 2 people. I've
Mhm.
contacted lots of people and I've sponsored lots of people, but if I average all my days over those 10 years, I have not consistently and persistently contacted the 2 people. There's been weeks that I basically have done nothing, and then there's been weeks where I've gone into like serious action mode and gone 20, 30 people in a week consistently. So two a day would really get you if you actually did that every single day and committed to it.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a distinction. If you have two people a day looking at the tools or the information, that's 10 a month. I mean, a week. If you are doing 5 days a week, that's 40 a month. If, usually the numbers are around, you sponsor between 20 to 25%. If you sponsor 20%, that would be 8 people in a month. Now, most people do not, and this is important, what I'm going to say, most people do not have 1 or 2 people a day looking at the tools. Most people have only 1 or 2 people a week. And it's why most people go slower. But when you talk to the leaders, they are consistently, they have 1 or 2 people every day or 5 people, depending on what stage of their business is. When I say what stage, if they are building really strong for the next level or they are brand new, like Lynn Hagedorn. Lynn Hagedorn was having 5 to 10 people a day looking at the information. That's why she got to 30,000 a month in only 60 days, less than 60 days. But anyway, but if you have 1 or 2 people a day, 5 days a week, looking at the information, you are going to have great results because if it's, let's see, if it's one person a day, it's 20 days in a week, in a month, excuse me, 5 days, 4 weeks, assuming that there are 4 weeks in a month, that would be 20. And again, if you're sponsoring 20 to 25% to 30%, you could sponsor 4 people in a month. And that's really cool. By the way, if you sponsor 5 people every month, you get the essentials with product B for free. If you have 10, you get 2 of the products essentials with product B. But anyway, that's a good question, by the way, because I know some. It's why when I was talking about the beginning, I said you put your own number. I didn't want to force you because sometimes it's overwhelming. But you're going to see when you connect with one person, then it's going to be easier with 2 and then 3. And they're going to get to the point that you're going to be a rock star. And there is a place to start, always 1. That's the 1. It's like steps. You start with the first step.
Yeah,
Do we have any other question? Oh, sorry.
yeah, no question yet, but I do want to add something to what you're saying. You mentioned, set your own goals. Well, what do you think Jimmy Smith's goals were? Do you think that Jimmy Smith actually just tried to shoot for 2 people a day or so? I think Jimmy went for much more. Lynn Hagedorn, Susan Sly, George Ruiz, George.
Yeah, especially
when you got started, how many people were we calling? We were on the phone day in and day out. And
yes, somebody asked me how many no's you have in your first 3 months in Isagenix. In my first month, I think I have 100 no's. In my first month, but by my third month, I was in the 6-figure. Go figures.
Yeah, and I actually was figuring out on my statistics how much each no was worth for me, and I think it was just over $1,000. Uh, you know, each no. And when we talk about income, by the way, let's go back to the disclaimers at the beginning, and you can also read about the disclaimers at isagenixearnings.com. But I do like to talk about the income because it's tremendous. And I tell you that power of that first time that my wife Marlena and I went to use our Isagenix issued card. We went to a store called Sims, which was a fantastic store down here in Florida, lots of discounts and so on. And it worked. We actually spent, I think it was like 300 some dollars, and we were amazed. And this was just within our first month in Isagenix. And sadly, like a lot of businesses nowadays, that store no longer exists. I mean, it was a huge chain, and they went under. The economy really affected them. So here we have a business that you can start making some money if you actually take the actions to do that. And it's unlike any other business. A regular business, it takes long time before you can actually see some progress. I'm an architect, it took me 6 years, and not 6 years because I failed a couple of years. It took me 6 years because it was a 6 year program. And even then, I was making less a week than what I was doing just after 1 month in Isagenix.
Yeah, yeah, and I concur with you because most people don't know, but you do. I have a degree in computers, and it's funny because most of the people that graduated with me, actually none of them earn even close to what I was earning, and some of them still are in their career. I went into real estate and I did so many things, but then when I came to the US, as you know, I was washing dishes and be a waiter because I didn't speak the language. But the thing is that the fact is that this is a simple business, and what we just saw, when you master the skill of inviting people and following up, those two skills alone can take you really far. But in order to do that, you have to be consistent. It's like anything. It's like when I used to play baseball. When I started playing baseball, I struck out so much. Yeah, I had a lot of power. I remember every time I hit the ball, but they were striking me out so many times that people took the risk with me. But then I learned how to hit the ball, and by the time I was in high school and college, I was hitting the ball way better. But it was because I was practicing consistently, and that's like in anything. In this business, the same thing. You consistently do it, and you're going to be successful. Consistent, this skill, just inviting people. And the more you do it, the better you're going to be at. Eventually, you're not going to even touch the scripts. It's funny because some people, when they see me or hear me on the phone, and I'm talking to people, and then when we hang up, they say, "Holy cow, were you reading the script?" No, I have seen it so many times and done it so many times that I don't need even to read it anymore. It became me, and that's what is going to happen to you, because it's after you repeat it over and over again. Some of the scripts, some of the ideas are new to me that I learned with Eric Worre. And however, I learned it really quick because as soon as Eric Worre said at the event that we went to, the best way to learn something is to apply it right away. And that's why I'm going to tell you tonight that the best way to learn what you just heard tonight is to apply it right away, because if you don't do it, next time you are going to come to another webinar or you're going to read a book or something like that, and you're going to forget what you learned here, and then you have a new thing, but you don't apply it, then you go to another one and another one, and eventually you're going to have information overload. A lot of information, but no action. That's why the best way to learn it is to apply it right away.
So true. Well, looks like we don't have any other questions, and we are actually at the top of the hour. So that looks, I just want, since we're talking about Eric Worre, there's a quote that I love about what it takes to be successful in this business that Eric Worre has. And it's your ability to get a large group of people to consistently do a few simple things over an extended period of time. That's what will determine your success. And the few simple things are these three simple actions every day: connect, present, and follow up. And two of those you can do via text, and you can do them in 5 minutes, each hour. So
by the way, I have a text message right now, and it's a question. This person was on the webinar, but obviously it's there. I cannot see it. But anyway, he's asking me if we have a webinar where we teach people how to actually get more names, because he said he ran out of people that in the world market, and the people where he works are really negative, don't make any money. And I would say just connect with the people that you already have. But meanwhile, you can go to howtogetgoing.com and enter the word prospect, and you're going to find several webinars. One of them is how never to run out of prospects. And as I say at the end of this, we are going to be adding more information on how to never run out of people, because that's actually the first skill that I learned, because when I moved to the US, I really didn't know any people, and I have to learn how to get people, and that's probably the skill that I love the most, because even before Facebook, I could find people everywhere. Facebook, what has made it easier, because you can find people, what I mean, everywhere, in every country where Isagenix is. But anyway, okay, and next week we are going to talk a little more about that.
Excellent. Well, then, George, I want to thank you for joining us tonight and making your presentation. And I want to thank each and every single one of you for joining us. This webinar will be recorded and it will be up at the howtogetgoing.com website tomorrow evening. And we look forward to seeing you then next week. Have
By
a
the way,
great evening. Yeah.
before we go, the sounds is amazing this webinar. I don't know what happened, but everything sounds way better.
Well, no, you did get a new microphone, so I forgot to
Yeah,
mention
maybe
that,
that's the
George.
reason. Yeah,
We might have to adjust the volume. I don't know if it's a little bit too loud for everybody. We'll see that in the recording.
okay.
So
All right, cool. Okay, thank you.
excellent. Well,
Yes.
good evening, everyone. Thanks, George.